Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies, and I'm Bill the Dealmaker, and
I am Jessie. I'm Bill's daughter. Nice to meet you, everyone.
Good. Is that too loud? Jesse's mic?
It's fine.
Okay. So we have Jessie as a guest speaker today. She is a flash in the pan. Huh?
You're not coming back next week?
To be determined.
All right, TBA, TBD.
She has a disease,
What's that?
and it's a horrible disease. It's probably the worst thing that you can have in this present time in this society.
Yeah?
It is absolutely the worst thing that could possibly
Can I
happen.
guess what it is?
Huh?
A job.
J-O-B. That's an acronym. For those of you that don't know what an acronym is, that means you take the first letter of each word and make another word out of it. J-O-B. So it's J period B, J period O period B. That's an acronym. Just over broke.
That's right. Living the dream over here.
Living the dream of being just over broke.
Got to go to work now. If I don't go to work now, I won't get money now. Won't be able to eat now.
Yep.
So, Peter.
It's a rat race.
Yes, Bill?
I want you to help me do something. I want you to join in. Grab the mic.
I'm working on it.
Grab your mic. Grab your mic. I want you to be on the mic. We have to do something. Not right now, she says. Oh, she's all freaked out back there.
She's still getting the show running.
Oh, my God. She had tech problems this morning. My computer is, as she calls it, a piece of shit.
That's French.
That would be geek talk for it's not freaking working, Dad. All right, so you ready, Peter?
Yes, sir.
Here's what we're going to do. I need your help now.
You got it.
You promised that you're going to back me up 100%, right?
Will it help Jess?
Well, I'm not even talking to Jessie right now.
Oh.
Yeah, we're going to do it together.
Okay.
Well, see, here's the thing is it's Thursday. You know I got to go to California tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Right? And 2 days from now, there's a very important part of my life. Yeah, it's Jessie's birthday.
Jesse's birthday!
Yay!
So I want to sing happy birthday. And I want Emma to join us, but she's over there
birthday?
geeking out on me.
Are you missing her birthday?
I'm going to be in California on her birthday.
So when are you celebrating it?
I don't know.
That's
Maybe
a good question. We haven't gotten there yet.
I'm only asking because nobody celebrated my birthday this year. I was away. I came back and I got completely ignored. So I just want to come and get a piece of birthday cake. That's all I'm looking for.
So,
Kidding.
Yeah, we're actually going away next Saturday.
Yes, we are.
We're going to be away next Saturday.
Cool.
All right, so you ready?
Okay.
Oh, we don't have to actually sing happy birthday.
Yes, we do.
Can you
Oh, my
help it? Because you
goodness.
sing well.
3,
Oh, man.
2, 1. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jessie. Happy birthday to you.
Wow, it was pretty good, you guys. That was impressive.
Yeah.
Well, I followed his key. I was expecting him to follow my key.
All right.
That's good.
So thank you for that, Peter, the musician. I was almost going to have you bring a guitar, but I figured that would probably distract the show more than what we've already done.
Well, what's new about that?
Exactly. So we're on episode number 59. The show's almost as old as Peter.
Almost.
Ooh, pretty soon it starts with a 6.
Now, we hit 50, and there was
It was
no
as old as
big
me.
party. There was
Yeah.
no big party. Then we hit 53. There was no big party. Because when you hit my birthday, my age, maybe a party then.
We're just going to talk about it, and then just not do it.
Just not do it.
That's kind of like what a lot of people do with real estate. They just talk about it, and they never really do it.
And there's our segue.
Ooh. Shots fired.
Whoa.
over the bulwark.
The name of today's show, episode number 59, which we got off on a tangent on there, I could tell this is going to be a rough show, is called Jet Fuel for Your Real Estate Cash. And the reason why I have Jessie here today is because I want to talk about, and I didn't invent this term, it's actually a term that comes off of Better Pockets. I don't know his name. I forgot his name. I should have looked it up before I started. I'm sorry. But there's a podcast called Better Pockets, and what they do is they interview real estate investors from around the country, or around the world, I guess, because, well, I guess it would be just around the country. And there's a lot of people that are on there that are very successful, and they give them, they ask them questions and they interview them. It's pretty cool. But they talk about on there house hacking, right? So it's, again, not a term. I'm not trying to claim the term. But I wanted to talk about that for a minute, because what is house hacking? Do you know what it is, Peter?
No, I don't.
You don't?
I barely know what computer hacking is.
Oh, boy. You barely know what computer is. Never mind the second half.
I'm halfway.
You're halfway. Oh,
Yep.
According to who?
I can start it.
You can start it.
I'm actually making progress. All you see is the things I don't know how to do, but there's actually a lot of things I do.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So we should probably go on a campaign on how much does Peter know on the computer.
No, just let it go.
Yeah. If you want, I can send you an email every day on things to do and see if you can comply on the computer. And then that would tell me how much you really know.
Yeah, but then if I don't know, you have to teach me.
We're not doing that.
Okay. Who has more patience, me or you as a teacher? You lose.
Yeah.
So what's computer hacking?
It's house hacking, not computer hacking.
Oh, yes, sir. House hacking.
And we okay back there? Okay. So house hacking means that you purchase a house as an owner. See, what happens with especially HUD houses and bank-owned properties, RE-owned properties, especially HUD houses, or Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae. Mm-hmm. Those are government agencies that lend money for people to buy houses.
Sure.
On property.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, they own the properties.
No.
Not in the first place.
In the first place, they just
correct.
lend houses,
Correct.
and then the defaults,
Yes.
they own the properties.
Yes, they own the properties
Then
after
they
the
get them.
default.
Hey,
Yep.
I take your farm and your ranch.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So,
Just like that.
I mean, we could. You'll have to reel me in on this, because you know how I get on this topic. But if you guys want to really understand this, the book is called "The Creature from Jekyll Island," and it explains how our monetary system works in this country. But the gist of it is this: a very, 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 very short lesson is that our U.S. government cannot print money based on our Constitution written back in 1776. Okay? We can have coins, but we can't have paper money. So what happens is on Jekyll Island in the early 1900s, people like Chase Bank and Morgan and Childresses or the Rothschilds in England, they all met secretly on an island and formed the banking system we have now, including some politicians that actually passed laws. It took them about 2.5 years to get everything done.
I heard Woodrow Wilson signed it over
That's right.
Christmas break when everybody was not there, nobody was there.
Right. So it's actually very criminal what they did, although I can't say that they intended it to be criminal. I can't say they didn't either. But when you see how our monetary system works, all the way down to there was a whole chapter on how they named the Federal Reserve intentionally so people thought it was actually a government institute.
Wait a minute.
And
it's not a government
held.
institution?
It is not. It's
No,
privately
it's the
owned.
Federal Reserve. It has to be.
It's privately
It must
owned.
be. Oh, that can't be.
Yeah, exactly. So what happens is the government calls up, and if you take out, anybody listening to the show, if you take out $1 out of your pocket or any paper money, you'll notice it says on there it's a note. It's not money, it's a note.
Which means a debt.
So it means that it's owed.
Yeah.
Right? There's debt behind it, just like a house. Okay? So the bottom line is the government calls up and says, print me $1 billion, please. Yeah, print me $1 billion, please. So now that they print the money, how do they circulate it?
They don't give it to me.
They usually, well, some of it goes in the government's checkbook, and the biggest lie in the United States right now, well, maybe not right now, but when they formatted this, they invented income tax because they felt like if they wanted people to believe that the income tax is actually paying for the government and paying for our administration. So they created income tax to fake people out so they wouldn't look at how the government's really getting their money, because the government's really getting their money by the printed money, because they print the money and they put it in the government's checkbook. And that's how the government gets money. So the government doesn't need our taxes. Maybe now it does 100 years later or 200 years later. But it wasn't invented that way. It's 100 years later, I'm sorry. So because it was early 1900s. So what happens is the government really doesn't need the taxes. So all the tax thing that all these politicians talk about is just a dog and pony show. It's to fake us out. Now, again, maybe at this particular point with the deficit and all that kind of stuff, it might be a little bit different. But at one point, the taxes was just fake.
Print more.
Right. So
Where did they get the money they loaned us? They printed that.
Right.
Who's
Exactly.
kidding who? Come on.
All right, so why am I talking about this on this episode? Because the fastest way for the government to distribute that, because you print all those billions of dollars, the government themselves can't. I mean, they could spend it, but as bad as they are. But this is why there's all the thievery in there, because once somebody actually figures this out, they go in there and they want the piece of the pie. So that's why all these politicians are in there grabbing their treasure chest. You know, so it's like Monopoly. Go around the board,
money.
pick up your treasure chest card. You know, and that's what they do. So. The point is that the best way for them to distribute money, the best way right now in the United States, the absolute best way. You want to guess? You want to guess what number one business is? What is it?
Mortgages.
No.
What?
Number one way the government makes money right now.
Oh, make money?
Yeah, with their money. Where do they put it first? They have all these billions of dollars. Where do they put it first?
Banks.
Nope.
Okay, I guess.
Do
Jessie,
you know where?
take a guess.
Real estate?
Nope.
No.
Education.
Oh,
Get outta
man.
here.
College loans is the
Oh,
number
gross.
one,
Oh,
number one profit center for the government. That's why. Think about it. What's the only loan that you could take that you can't put in bankruptcy?
It's true. Student loans.
Student loans.
They're not fun. I have them. They're not fun.
So why do you think they've been on a campaign now for the last 20 years? You know this because you're an educator. You tell us all the time you're an educator. Okay. So they start in the 7th and 8th grade telling you need to go to college. It's so insidious. It's so insidious. And I'm not even saying that it's bad. It's just insidious. And here's the message. If you want to make more money, go to college. That's the message. It's simple and false.
Yeah, my plumber down the street's making lots and lots of money.
Yeah. So they start 6th, 7th, 8th grade. Get ready. Get ready. Right? I mean, it happened to you.
It's true.
You know, you got a big debt.
Yes, I do.
You know, it's a second mortgage.
It is a second mortgage. Absolutely.
Once they do that, then the second place they place the money is in these Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, and the mortgages. The second place they put it. Okay, so here's how it works. All right, so I buy a house. Right, I go to the bank and I get a mortgage. Say I buy the house for $100,000. There's two documents that they attach. I just went blank because I want to think of his name. I know his real name. I don't know his pen name. Crisis by Design is the book. Crisis by Design. Bruce Wiseman.
Oh, okay.
Crisis by Design. That's his real name. It might not be the pen name he wrote that in, but it's Crisis by Design. Read that book. That's a simpler version of the Jekyll Island book. But Crisis by Design, Bruce Wiseman. It's a phenomenal book. What he says in there is that you actually, they actually attach two documents to the end of your mortgage document. So there's I think 37 or 38 documents in a mortgage document. The bank attaches two documents to the back of it. They actually staple to the back of it. You know what it is? It's actually documents that says that they can get 10 times their investment. So if I have a $100,000 loan, the government sends the bank $1 million. That's how they fund it. This is how it works. This is how money works in the United States. Okay? So they actually give the bank $1 million. So now think about that. How criminal is that? I buy this house. I don't pay my mortgage payment, and they sue me for foreclosure because they say I owe them $100,000. Well, how do I owe them $100,000? They got $1 million for it. Now they're chasing me for the money. And they lock me in and they chase me for the money. The biggest myth on in real estate is that the bank has REOs, real estate owned property. That's an REO, real estate owned property. And they say what happens is the bank needs the money. They're trying to get their money back.
At the poor bank, they're going to go broke.
Not true. They already got their money. This is why when you
10X.
that's right. When you have this philosophy that I just taught you, and read these books because they're there. I did not make this up. All I did was just read the books.
You can't make stuff like this up. It's too crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't make movies out of it because people wouldn't believe it.
Right. So the reason why
Right in plain sight.
it's right. It's right under our nose. So the reason why I'm bringing this stuff up is because REO, people think, oh well, they got $100,000 piece of property. I'm going to offer them $60,000, and you're not going to do that. They are so in control. They're going to do absolutely what they want to do. They are not motivated by money.
So the person who wants it and needs it less wins.
The
and
point
you
of
think
negotiation.
that they really need it,
Right.
and they don't need it at all.
Right.
The law of
And that's why
negotiation.
it seems so strange, because like, why don't they sell me the house? I'll give them the money. They
Right.
must need it to
Yeah.
fill their books back up,
Right.
get out of the red.
They don't need it.
Yep.
Obviously, because they don't need it. They
So
wait
I
and
want to
wait,
back
they
up
say
because
no.
what you just said is very important. So the law of negotiation is the person that wants it the least has the most power. So that's
Yep.
what you said. I want to make
Yeah.
sure that our listeners got that because you kind of just blended in.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're 100% correct. So we think the bank needs the money, right? Really, the statistic, the number one statistic for HUD, which is what is it?
Housing
and urban
development. Okay, the number one statistic, and I know this because I know people. I have met people that work for them. Their number one statistic, people think, is money. Their number one statistic is how many families can we put in houses. That's what they want,
which is actually decent.
It's the American dream is to go into a house. So somebody that has poor credit score or has a lower income or isn't we'll say middle class. I'm making that up myself. Isn't middle class or higher that can't actually go get a mortgage and do that. The HUD agency is there to bolster them up and help them get a house. That's their statistic. Has nothing to do with money. They have all the money in the world they want. It's just a matter of, can you go through these guidelines? Of course, what follows that is all the bureaucracy and all the idiocy that goes with bureaucracy, like nobody making decisions and nobody's in charge, right? So it's like, it's just a shuffling game, right? But the point is that is their statistic. So the reason why I bring all this up when I say jet fuel for real estate cash is because we talk about all these investing things from week to week, and I wanted to share an experience that Jessie just went through, which she actually bought we ended up not closing on it, but we bought a property, or she bought a property that was a HUD property, and we went through the whole process, and we used what we call a 203K loan, which we're going to explain in a minute. And I want you to understand the back thought of what's going on and how the bank works and how the money works and why all these decisions are being made, because they don't care about the money. And you got to really understand what I'm telling you. This is such a huge factor. When you are buying houses on the MLS from HUD or from Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae, their objective is not to do what Peter said, not to fill up the bucket, as you call it, or balance the books, because there isn't that. The balance of the books already happened. It happened when you bought the house. They got 10 times their money because the ratios and you really need to read those two books I'm talking about, because they explain it in great detail. Especially the second book.
If you like horror stories.
Oh my God, it's worse than horror stories.
Like Stephen
Because
King.
it's real life.
I have to tell you, when I read the books, I was in a funk for a couple weeks, because I was like, "Are you kidding me? Everything I'm looking around every day. I'm looking around all the commerce and everything, and it's like it's all fake."
Yeah.
And here I am, like I'm aggressive. Anybody who knows me, I could be aggressive. It's like, I want to be a millionaire. And I to this day, I don't give a crap about that stuff anymore. As long as I got what I want and I'm happy. I mean, yeah, you need to have money to be able to pay your bills, but past that, it's like, and not that I want a lot of money. I have houses, that's why I do this for. But I'm a weird guy, because last year, we're in 2017, and 2016, I gave away my entire salary. I gave away in charity my entire salary on credit cards. And I'm paying for it now. I gave away my entire... As a matter of fact, my entire... You know that. Mm-hmm. Just because I want to see what would happen.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not far behind you.
I want to see what would happen.
Yeah.
And you know what? Nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
It drove my necessity to make more money. Because I got to pay the credit card bills off.
Mm-hmm. Didn't hurt your lifestyle.
I still have everything I had before.
Yep. And you got
Matter of fact, I have more.
You got lots of houses, sell houses. You're going to wind up way ahead.
I gave away my salary. And my salary is not. It's not $50,000. It's not $100,000. I gave away my salary. And it was a test. I wanted to see what would happen. I still have a wife, surprisingly. I still got my kids in my house and my cars.
I haven't seen her lately, though, Bill.
Yeah, neither have I. She's in England. Okay, so are we on track now? You understand where I'm going here. So the name of the show is, we're episode number 59, Jet Fuel for Real Estate Cash. And the reason why I'm calling it that is because there's a lot of, I get support tickets, we do meetups, I have coaching clients. I mean, there's a whole thing here, okay? What we have here is a culture, okay? And the culture that I'm driving is that we're here for the working man. Okay, we're not here. I'm not one of those gurus that charge $30,000 for me to tell you how to buy a house. I have stuff that, my basic course is $67 on Facebook, and I have in that $67 course than what most would get in a $300 seminar and coaching. You agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
You agree? Mm-hmm. So basically, what I am is I'm a transparent guy because I believe that there is plenty in this world. There is so much in this world that I can't have it all. So what I figured out some years ago is that I could tell people what to do. They don't listen. What people really need is they need their hand held. Mm-hmm. So I have no problem telling somebody, here's how you buy real estate. I don't hide it behind a $30,000 coaching program. Because there's people on our podcast. We have almost 400,000 downloads on our podcast. I get emails every single week of people that listen to this podcast that we're on right now, and they tell us they bought houses just from the information I'm giving on the podcast, and that's my free service. Imagine if you bought a service from me. So if you go to flippinghouses.club/coaching101, the first month, the first 30 days is for $1. And then it's $67 a month after that. So go test drive me for $1. If you don't have $1 to see if I'm worth being in your life, if I'm going to help or improve your life, then I get it. We can be friends and just part ways. flippinghouses.club/coaching101, and I will show you the beginning stages. I'm not going to show you everything because what you do need is some hand holding, and we have some private coaching after that, which is almost full. We did a meetup last night, and I was just telling you guys at breakfast that I have, just in the meetup, I have 7 people want to be in a coaching program, and I can't take them all. So, but I do take certain clients. If I feel like you're motivated and things are good, then I will take it because I want success. 85% of my coaching group is doing business. The only reason why the other 15% isn't is because they're either not on the calls or they're out of communication with me, or I got to go rustle them up or whatever. They fall, the train falls off the tracks and I got to put it back on. Okay. So my point in bringing all that up is because we have this whole system, this whole thing about how to buy houses and flip houses, my 7 different ways in the mail and the way you talk to people and all of that, right? Isn't that what we do? I mean, we're on episode number 59. That's all we talk about, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
We never talked about house hacking.
Because I still don't know what it is.
Okay.
Can I explain it?
Go ahead.
So my understanding of house hacking is, well, you explain it. You can probably explain it better now that I think about it, because I'm going to mess it up, and then you're going to say, no, you're
Jess,
not right.
You've been sitting there for 20 minutes. Say something.
I know.
So take a shot at it.
Say something.
Let's talk about it.
So basically,
It's a reality radio.
Yeah, right?
It's reality Facebook.
So house hacking is this idea where you are an owner and you buy houses as owner occupants. So you live in a house, you buy it, you buy a HUD house, you buy it under value, you renovate it, you have sweat equity, you live in it for a year or 2 years, and then you take that sweat equity and you do it again. And you just keep doing it until eventually you get to the point where you can buy a house free and clear because you've done 2 or 3 or 4 houses and you have the equity and you can just, keep moving on.
So that's it, except the one piece that you're missing is the real definition of house hacking is you buy a house, do everything you said,
yeah,
and then you refinance it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And then once you refinance it, now you take a longer term loan,
Right.
right, or a better mortgage, and then go buy another one.
Yep.
Right, because depending on if you're using private money or if you're using. In this particular case, we're talking about a mortgage. Mm-hmm. So if you have a 203K loan, then you don't have to refinance it. You already have a government loan in place.
Right. Right.
Okay, so why is this important to today's show that says jet fuel for real estate cash?
Is that a question?
Yeah. What do you think?
I think it's a way, jet fuel for real estate cash, because it's a way to invest your money quickly, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
What do you think, Pete?
Oh, I never guess what your titles mean anymore.
Well, what do you think? I mean, when you hear it, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Well, if you're doing this every couple of years, it's not like instantaneous, but it's like a surefire way to just move yourself forward instead of like buy a house and sit there for 30 years. And my son's in a house that was flipped by somebody. He doesn't like it.
Right.
I'm just thinking, why don't we get him another house and we'll do it? We'll flip it ourselves.
Right.
And then, little by little, get a better house.
So, Jessie, we just saying happy birthday. How old are you?
I am going to be 26 on Saturday.
So, at 26 years old, she buys his house.
So young.
Stop.
She's thinking, I'm 26. Oh, my God. It's almost over.
It's almost 30. It's almost 30. Life has changed.
It's almost over. What
I'm
do I
growing
do?
up. I'm
why
losing
get
it.
up and why bother to get up? So old that you just give up. Dig a hole now.
Yeah, right.
So, at 26 years old, she buys his house, right? And she does, which we're going to talk about this 203K loan in a minute. I know we keep talking about that. But she buys his house, and she lives in it, we'll say, for 18 months. We'll say 2 years. And then she does it again. And then she does it again. Is it easy to say that in her lifetime she could buy 10 or 15 houses? Is it easy to say that at the end, when she retires, that all those houses will be paid off?
You keep those houses?
Yeah.
Wow. I like this one. Go ahead.
Well, why couldn't you keep it?
Well, unless you needed the money to buy the next one, but you refinance
What
it.
money?
Huh?
What money?
Well, there's not much equity in it. Well, there's your sweat equity. If you sold it, there'd be a profit.
Okay, so
But you can keep
so
it.
you're missing something. So let's just go over this. So can we just talk? We'll just talk about your deal, okay?
Yeah, go for it.
It's after renovated value was, you're saying 240.
Yep. Around 240, 250. Somewhere
So
in there.
250. So
Yeah.
we'll use 250. Okay, you could use 240 if you're conservative, but we'll say 250. It's in a great neighborhood. It's got 2 acres of land, which there's not many houses around here that does.
Yeah.
It's in Wallingford, which is a great. It was in a fantastic neighborhood.
Yes.
She paid $167. By the time we get done with renovations, it was $202 was her mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
So does she have or does she not have $50,000 worth of equity?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So she bought a HUD property. She didn't buy a pretty house. She bought a HUD property. We renovated it. It was $35,000 was our renovation numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now here's how it works. An FHA mortgage, which is Federal Housing Authority, FHA, Federal Housing Authority, okay, which is just like Freddie Mae and Freddie Mac and Ginnie Mae or whatever
Fannie
they are.
Mae.
Fannie Mae. Okay.
Barbara Sue.
Try to say all three of them at the
Betty
same
Ann.
time.
Betty Ann. Lucky Lou.
It's just one of those. It's just one of those agencies, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is an FHA mortgage. So let me clarify something else. So there's CHFA and there's FHA. So CFHA is a first-time home buyers program.
Mm-hmm.
That means you need very little down, like less than 3%.
I think CHFA is just, so you have an FHA, correct me if I'm wrong. CHFA is just built to help you with down payment assistance.
Right.
It's not the whole loan. It's just if you have no money to put down on a house, a CHFA loan will help you put money down.
Right. You need to speak into the mic. So yes. So what happens is CHFA is going to be the down payment loan. FHA is going to be the loan.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 2 loans. So they're going to loan you the down payment money and loan you the money to buy the house. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's a CHFA mortgage. Then an FHA mortgage is a government loan to buy the property. At what was your interest? 4.3 or something?
4.32 was my interest rate.
Right
so.
now. Okay. So that's a good government loan.
Mm-hmm.
A 203K is a number on a form that you can fill out to actually get a renovation from the government. You can borrow the renovation money from the government.
Mm-hmm.
So in her particular case, she bought a house below market value at 267.
167.
167. I'm sorry, at 167, and got a $35,000 loan from the government to do the renovation costs.
Mm-hmm.
Get it?
Oh, sure.
Now there's restrictions, which they were not
Yes.
that bad,
No, they weren't that bad.
because the $35,000, which by the way, there's two different kinds of 203k
Yes.
loans. So why don't you explain that?
So there are two different kinds of 203k loans. So the first one is called a streamlined 203k. That basically means that you borrow $35,000 or less. The minimum is you have to borrow at least $5,000. And the terms are you can't do anything structural. So you can't move around walls, you can't knock anything down, you can't change the actual structure of the house. But and you can't do landscaping, so you can't do a fence, you can't do that kind of stuff.
You can't.
You can't.
Not with that money.
Not
You
with
can
that
do
money.
it, but just not with that money.
Yeah, well, that wouldn't be important.
Right.
They don't want you wasting
right.
it on.
So you're really looking at, doing a kitchen or doing a bathroom or.
So one of the things that we teach is there's a
Yes.
renovation, and there's a remodel.
Correct.
So renovation is remove and replace. Remove
Right.
kitchen, replace kitchen.
So
remove
that's-
bathroom, replace
Yep.
bathroom.
So that's what you would use the streamline for. And then anything over 35,000, so really 40,000 is the number that they really give, is a standard 203k mortgage. That kind of mortgage you can do structural changes. One of the big differences is you have to have a HUD consultant come in. It's about $1,200 just for the HUD consultant to come in, and they're going to come and they're going to basically supervise the project, because the bank wants to make sure that their investment is being done
Well, they're
correctly.
dealing with amateurs.
Yes.
They're dealing with people that don't do what we do.
Right.
So the HUD consultant will come in and say, oh, this structural problem isn't fixed correctly. We need to
Right.
get the contractor to fix
Right.
it correctly.
Yep.
And of course, the bank wants to be secure that if they're doing structural work, that the house isn't going to fall down and they're going to be out of a mortgage,
Right.
Or out of the, they have an asset that's in a dumpster,
Right. So it's about $1,200 just to pay for the consultant fee.
Right.
So that's something to consider when you're borrowing.
Yeah, but if you're borrowing $50,000, it's not a big
Right.
deal.
It's not a big deal.
Question: you have to have contractors do all the work? Can you do some yourself? There's something in there, right?
You can do some yourself. You have to put together a pretty extensive scope of work, because that is part of the loan. And you have to, so what they do is, we had our contractor go through and he was very specific about what he did. You break it down by materials and labor. And then the bank will actually hold a contingency so that just in case something goes wrong, you can dip into the contingency. In our case, our loan was $30,000. And then they held off. So contingency meaning it's cushion money just in case something goes wrong. So that money they hold off, and it was about $5,000. So the total loan was $35,000, but my scope of work had to be $30,000. So
Are they more lenient on the streamlined loan amount as far as allowing you to do some of the work?
yeah, I think
different?
so. I'm not sure.
Someone was
That's
explaining some of that. I just because I'm not doing that. Wasn't
Yeah, that
making
would
a
make
big deal of it.
sense. Yeah, that would make sense to me. I think that, when I spoke to our contractor who actually did quite a bit of research on this kind of loan, he did say that, the owners could do some of the work themselves. But some of the work, the most important work, like the plumbing and that kind of stuff, had to be done by a licensed
So
contractor.
this house hacking is not done this way. Would not be like sweat equity, like you do it yourself. You still hire contractors.
Right. But they're still, right. But it's equity.
So I want to clear up the word contingency. I just looked it up in the dictionary. So contingency means that it could happen or it's possible to happen.
Yeah.
So the reason why they do that is because obviously construction has its monsters,
Yep.
right, that pop out of the walls,
Yep.
literally. And so what they're saying is that if you have a $30,000 loan or a $35,000 loan, they were only going to let you spend $30,000 in case some of those monsters happen. There's a $5,000 cushion, because what the bank doesn't want to have happen is to say, oh, we gave you $35,000 and you screwed up on your estimation of work, and now you need another $5,000, and we aren't going to give it to you, and now you won't pay your mortgage because
Right.
it's not finished.
Right.
So they actually build in the fact that it's amateur hour,
Right.
and that you are going to have mistakes, and that they have that money
Right.
built into the loan.
Yeah. Yep.
Right?
That's
Make
it.
sense?
Yeah. So I think you left off because you're trying to explain to me so I understand more of the house hacking. So when she does that with her house, what's the next thing that happens? Like when you finish,
She
And
moves
then- moves in.
lives there for a year,
Yeah.
and at that point she could sell it and
Okay.
make a profit.
Now,
Or what I'm saying is she could keep it,
yeah.
rent it,
Yeah.
and buy another one.
Yeah.
Now, what will happen is she'll get to a point where she can't have too many loans.
Right.
So at that point, what she'll do, at that point, she'll have 4 or 5 houses. She can consume all those loans in one lump and make it one loan.
Really?
It wouldn't be a government loan, but she could do that.
Okay.
My point here is that you could do a couple things here. Number one, anybody listening to us can do this.
Yeah.
The government offers this. Anybody could do this. So when I say you do not need money to buy houses, this is a classic example of what I'm talking about. If you just bought one house for yourself every year or every 2 years and just did it the hard way, in 10 years you'd have 3 or 4 houses and live in them.
Mm-hmm.
And have the joy. I mean, yeah, you got to move every couple of years. But quite frankly, I'm telling Jessie, if you're making $50,000, then pay the damn mover $3,000 to move you.
Yeah, sir.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's
Yeah.
really that way.
And these loans are available not just one time because certain loans are first time buyer only, but these kind of loans are available the next time. The
FHA,
next
you can
time.
get. Yep.
2K, you can just do it. A
Yeah,
number of times.
the Chaffa loan is the first time. The down payment assistance
be once.
is only once,
And
and,
you
your first
can't-
home.
And you can't have had a house in your name prior to.
Well, I'm telling my son to listen to this episode. He's in a
Yeah.
house he can't stand. Somebody flipped it and they did a lousy job. And look, the windows aren't closed and blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. Well, let's go get something else.
Yep.
Right.
Episode 59.
So
Yep.
now think of it this way.
Serious.
Yeah.
How did I explain things in the beginning? What are the statistics of HUD?
They want people in homes.
Right. So what are we doing?
Well, first you're putting yourself in a home. And then when you move on, at least someone else gets to buy that one. And you get another one and somebody gets to buy that one.
Right.
And then those people could use a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac loan to
Right.
get into at some point if they want to buy it
Right.
outright.
Right.
And one thing to note about HUD too that we didn't really talk about is that when they list houses, HUD and Freddie Mae. See, now you got me doing it. Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. So what they do is the first, I think, 45 days are owner occupant only. So that means that only people who intend to live in the house can buy the house, and that just goes to what you were
That's
saying
on
before.
the repossessed houses.
Yes.
When they list it, they go 45 days before an investor can even put a number on it. So we're constantly looking for those houses that have either, as investors, now we're kind of going into another world, as investors, different hat, we're constantly looking for houses that have been past the 45 days. I like the houses that have had 1 or 2 deposits on it and they didn't go through. And those are the ones that I buy. That's how I could make 7 offers on the MLS and get 3 houses.
And do you see that in the notes on the property?
If you have a clever realtor, then they can explain that to you.
And plus, you can see that information on Zillow, believe it or not. It
Yeah.
can say when they dropped the price, when they accepted an offer, so it's on there. It's
So
very
what-
readily available.
I don't know the URL, and we might have to make Emma go check it, but do you know the URL for the HUD houses?
Yep. So if you go to HUD.gov,
No,
is
that's not the URL.
the portal.
Okay.
So it's portal.hud.gov. So if you go to HUD.gov, usually it's the landing page. It says, I want to, and you click buy a house. And then from there, it's under category number. This is a really long pathway.
No. Could you do me a favor, sweetheart? Yeah. On my computer, on my iMac, the third tab from the right is I have the HUD site open. Can you get me the URL? Yeah. Watch this. She's not even going to get out of her chair. Watch. You see this? You watching this? She's not even
He's
getting out
hacking
of
into your computer from her computer.
My computer's in the other room, and
Yeah.
she's not even going to get out of her chair.
My son fixes
She's
my
got
computer
my
from his
computer,
house
yeah,
in Weathersfield.
on her
Hang on,
computer.
Dad.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he fixes things that are screwy.
HUDhomestore.com.
What is it?
HUDhomestore.com.
Can you do it in the microphone, please? I know. Just repeat it, Dad. I don't want to talk in the damn microphone.
HUDhomestore.com.
Now you say it.
HUDhomestore.com, though I don't know.
Just want to see if
That's
she
not the
sounds
one I
different.
use.
It's your sister.
I don't know if that's the one I use.
Okay. Well, that's the one that has all the HUD properties.
Okay,
But
that works too.
Yeah.
Just know that you shouldn't be paying for anything.
Yeah,
It's a government
I
run.
bumped into HUD Homes, but I
Yes.
clicked on HUD Homes USA dot something or other.
Yes.
$1 for the first month, $50 a month. I said, wait, I got to ask
Yeah.
Jess. She's not paying $50 a
No,
month.
I am not paying $50 a month. So, but I bet you it has the same information. It probably
Well,
does.
I got it because this is what my realtors use. They use this site.
Yeah.
And the reason why they do that is because they'll look on the MLS and it'll have a listing on the MLS, and then they'll check the HUD
Yep.
store.
Yep.
What is it again? HUD?
HUD Homes.
HUDhomestore.com. And if there's conflicting data, put an offer on that house.
Yes.
Like, for example, real estate really on the MLS site, it'll say it's under deposit. On the HUD store, on the HUD home store, whatever that URL is, it will say not on deposit. Put an offer in on that house because nobody else is looking at it.
Yep.
Wow.
So you got to match data. It's pretty clever. I mean, we could do a whole show on that if you want, but how to find these properties.
I could use that because they just started this week. So I signed up for that, and my realtor gave me their log on to their properties, and I'm looking at both. I'm saying, oh, that's a HUD property that they have, and that's all.
So you're on the MLS?
Huh?
You're on the MLS?
Well, they let me look at their properties on their list.
Okay.
Yeah, they gave me their access.
Good.
So I'm
Put your mic next to you.
So I'm seeing what they have, and then I'm saying, oh, that's a HUD home, and they haven't gotten past it yet because the day was over. But I want to. Yeah, do a show on that for me.
Yeah, and then the other website to keep in mind is Fannie Mae is homepath.com.
Yes.
So that's where you go to look at Fannie Mae properties. And then I'm pretty sure Freddie Mac is homesteps.com.
Right.
So all three websites are all the...
So do all of them again, all
Yep.
three of them.
So HUD was... What was it, Emma?
Homes.
HUD Home Store.
HUDhomestore.com. Fannie Mae is homepath.com, and Freddie Mac is homesteps.com. So they're all, I mean, the Fannie Mae, so the HUD website is a little clunky because it's like a government website. But HomePath and HomeSteps are really easy to use. It's got an interface that looks a lot like Zillow. So they're really easy to use. And, just the other thing, like you said, if it's under deposit, keep your eye on it, because I can't tell you how many times we're under deposit and we're about to let ours go.
Right.
And as soon as we let it go, somebody's going to jump on it. So if you're watching it constantly, you really have a better shot, because I'm going to tell you right now, once we let this property go, it's going to be,
frenzy.
a frenzy. When we put our offer in, we went and looked at it on the second day it was listed. And there were 6 groups of people there. So you have to move fast with these properties, because they're unlike our mailings and everything else. We're not sneaking through the mailbox. This is public record. So you really have to move fast with these properties.
So if you're in Connecticut and you're on Facebook and you're in Connecticut or anywhere, well, if you're in Connecticut mostly, if you send me an email to info@flippinghouses.club, info@flippinghouses.club, I have 2 mortgage agents that specialize in these loans, and they will excel the loans amazingly.
They are great.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mortgage broker that I'm working with is phenomenal. With the 203K, he's very meticulous. He's been doing it a long time, and I would highly, highly recommend.
We actually have a group of people. We actually have a realtor, we have a lawyer, and we have or an attorney, and we have a real estate, a 203K specialist that all work together. And once you give them their information, they just talk to one another, and shit just happens. It's amazing. So if you're in Connecticut and want that, I say only because you're in Connecticut, because they're licensed in Connecticut, just send me an email at info@flippinghouses.club, and I will gladly pass it on. So before you say what you're going to say, I just want to say, so I want you to get the concept, because we're going to have to end here in about another 10 minutes. I want you to get the concept that this is how anybody can do this. We just gave you 3 websites. Go on there. You can send me an email if you're in Connecticut. My realtor will go show you the properties. They'll give you any advice. The mortgage guy specializes in 203Ks. You don't need a 6,000 credit score, as long as you're like mid 6s. I don't even think that even matters, to be honest with you. You should get pre-qualified from the mortgage person and go look at houses, and you could actually flip a house hacking way. Right?
Yeah. And I was going to say, too, for those who aren't in Connecticut, those websites are good around the country.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be just in Connecticut
That's
to
right.
use those websites, just to be clear.
Now, a question about the websites.
Hang on. So obviously it's just the United States because we have people listening to us like in Australia and stuff.
Oh,
like
sure.
obviously.
Yes, in the United States.
Go ahead, Pete.
No, the question is, like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, those are under HUD?
No, they're separate
They're
entities.
separate?
Yeah.
Okay, 'cause I know they're three different websites. But
Yeah, HUD is
I
the
thought
most
HUD was
stringent.
the overall, and they're just three separate?
No, there are three. HUD is the most stringent. Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae have different guidelines, and they're much looser. Like, for example, when I put an offer in with HUD, it's like they don't like my offer, they just say no. They don't tell me why, they don't do nothing. Freddie Mac, I put an offer in, they'll counter. You know, they'll say, you know, I'll put an offer in for $86,000. They'll be like, no, we want at least 91, or they'll tell me, give me your highest and best, and then I know I'm close. Then I just give them my highest and my best. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we need to clarify something because I'm sure we're going to get questions. Why didn't you buy your house?
That is a great question. So we went through, doing this kind of loan is work. It is work. You're earning your $40,000 or $50,000
Of equity.
And it's really in the front half because to get a mortgage together is stressful. Most people have done that and get that. To do a 203K is different because you have the scope of work, you're working with contractors. So basically what happened with our house was, we were fine we were going to put in new heating and all that stuff, but part of getting the loan, you have to do, if the utilities are turned off, you have to do certain tests. So if the electric is turned off, you have to do a generator test. If the water is turned off, you have to do what's called an air test to test the pipes.
The pressure, they put pressure in the pipes
to make sure there's no leaks in the pipes. And you have to do a water test. So the house that we were looking at was well and septic. So there's usually two different ways you can get water. It's either through a private well or it's connected to the city. And same thing with your septic. You're either, or your waste. It's either connected through the sewer, which is the city's line, or you have your own septic system. So we went to go turn on the water to do a water test, and the pump to the well, the motor was busted, which is not a huge expense to fix, but I was in a situation where I wasn't going to spend hundreds of dollars to fix it because I didn't own the property yet. And heaven forbid we turn that pump on and there's something wrong with the well or whatnot. So my mortgage broker told me that we could get water through the pipes to test the water from what was ever sitting in the well, but there's no way that water's been sitting there for...
The house was vacant for at least a year.
At least a year. So there's no way that the water test would have come back positive, which would have...
It's possible it could have come back positive.
It could have.
But the chances of having bacteria because it had been sitting there for a year is very high.
And then, so that was a problem. And then the real problem that I had was the septic, because same thing, the septic had been sitting for Lord knows how long. And in order to really test a septic system, you have to flush it a couple of times to really see. You need water. So I talked to a septic inspector, and he was not optimistic. And he said, listen, if your septic is busted, you're talking $20,000 on the cheap end, and you're talking really it's going to be about $40,000 to fix the septic system if it's busted. So I was in a position where I could have pushed through and gotten the water tested, and he could have tested the leaching fields and done what he could have done. And
so a leaching field means when you have I'm going to interrupt you there.
Yep,
because
go ahead.
So a septic system, there's a tank in the ground. We'll say a 2,000 gallon or 1,000 gallon tank in the ground.
Yeah.
And what happens is when you flush the toilet, the solids and water and everything go into the tank. Mm-hmm. When the tank fills up, the solids stay in the tank because bacteria will just eat it away, but the water will go out into pipes without in that's what's called the leaching field.
Right.
So so when the tank fills up, the water goes out the top of the tank into these pipes that are out on the lawn, and they just seep into the ground.
Right. So really, to have a septic system, you have to have enough room for the leaching fields.
Right.
So it's common when you have that much acreage, it's not uncommon to have a septic system.
Right. And the leaching fields determine on how much the water could seep into the earth.
Right.
So some leaching fields are expensive. They need to be engineered because there's stone and ledge and it has to stay on your property.
Right.
So they have to do odd things to make sure that the water could seep into the ground. In your case, it probably wouldn't have been that way because, like you said, there was 2 acres of land and it was not stone.
It probably would have not been a problem.
Right. But you can't take that chance.
You can't. I couldn't take a $40,000 risk. Yeah. And I mean, we had the equity in the house, but it would have defeated the entire purpose of house hacking.
Right.
Because, I could have put a $40,000 new septic system in there, but I might as well. Huh?
Yeah.
I might as well have just bought a brand new house at $240,000.
Right.
So I followed my gut, which is something that I've learned from good old Dad, because he uses facts, but there are some times where you just have to go with your
intuition.
gut. You go with your intuition, and I let it go. It was a really, really, really hard thing for me to do because I spent a lot of time on this project, and I really had kind of envisioned it to be what I wanted it to be, and I was going to create it the way I wanted to, but it's you just got to follow your gut. So we let it go. And we're out and about looking for more.
Well, what happened was, I want to clarify a few things. We went back to the bank and said there's no water.
Correct. Yes, that is an important step. So we did go back to the bank. We said it's busted. And we asked them if they would fix the pump. And they said, your contract says you're going to buy it as is. So no. And
your FHA 203K should fix it.
Correct. Which it would if we had bought the property. We would have been able to do that. We would have been able to build that into our estimate.
And maybe that could have happened. Maybe we could have went in and spent $800 or $900 or $1,000 to fix the pump, and then turn the water on, and every would have thing would be fine. The risk with that is that you buy the property, right, with those underlying issues.
Yep.
But then can't get the other end of the mortgage if they don't pass.
Right. So if my water test failed, and if the septic system, the inspection for the septic system failed, the mortgage would not have gone through. So it was a big risk.
Yeah.
Sounds like that's something the bank should actually take care of.
Yes.
But they just won't.
Correct. Because what's going to happen now is they're going to list it because now they can list it as investors can buy it. So they're going to...
Because of the timing?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So now what's probably going to happen is an investor will go in there and buy it as is, and if they buy with cash, they don't have to test the water. They don't have to test the electric. They don't have to do any of that because they're not responding to a mortgage.
Right.
So they're going to buy it cash.
So it's the government's way of flushing the problems. Yeah, they take $30,000 less, but they don't have a legal problem. Mm-hmm. So it's their no pun intended flushing the problems, but it's government's way of flushing out the problems.
Right. But this is one of the points where the house goes around the process a couple of times. House goes around the process a couple of times and winds up being purchased cheaper by somebody at some point,
exactly
like you.
About. Yeah.
Are you going to buy it now?
I was thinking about that. Actually, I was thinking about it this morning if I should put an offer. I don't like the house, so I don't know if I would do it. I mean, the land is good, and but I didn't like the fact that upstairs the bedrooms didn't have closets in them, so I don't think I'm going to mess with it. Because the problem is that we had a few issues with the realtor, and I just don't know if I want to get involved with all the politics.
Bad juju at this point.
Totally understand that.
Bad juju around the house. So we're going to let it go. I could have fought for it, and I thought about it. It took me a couple of days to come around. But, I mean, we've already looked at 2 or 3 other houses, and, I mean, in the past couple of days, and I already feel better about some of these houses that we're looking at.
Right.
Because I think the deals are just as good, but with less work and maybe more equity.
Yeah. Makes sense?
Totally.
Okay, so the other tip that I want to give that I thought Jessie was a genius and finds all these houses, and I find out she's a genius at this part. But she's going to be mad at me, and I'm sorry, but she is a millennial, and I've learned to respect. I said this in the meetup last night. Did I or did I not, Em? Yes. She's not even listening. She's shaking her head. Yes, she has no idea even what. You know what I'm talking about, Emma?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
You're talking about how millennials are very good at getting from point A to point B in the quickest way possible.
Thank you. She paid
Shortcuts.
attention. She paid it just like she just gave me that description.
Yeah.
It
Boom.
took me 7 minutes last night in the meetup to do that, and she did it in 30 seconds.
Shortcuts.
Right to the point. But they're very smart at making things work for them.
Oh, yeah.
And in this particular case, one of the things that, and I didn't know this, I mean, it's simple and it's stupid, and it just shows you where I am sometimes. But she just goes to Zillow.com. You register for free. You put your name and email address in there. And then when the screen comes up on the top left-hand top left-hand corner of the screen, there's a search bar. So just put your town in there, like I put in there, because I invest in Hamden, I put Hamden. And then on the right side, it says, save your search. And it will automatically email you every single time something happens in Hamden.
Right, and you can narrow down your criteria too. So, like
Right.
for me, my Zillow search is for Wallingford. It's for 3 bedrooms. It's for under 240,000. I could change the square footage if I want. I could change the acreage. I mean, you can really specify what you want. And every time I see a house, every time something in that category comes on Zillow, I get notified. I actually have a list of saved houses that I like. I favorite them. And those houses, as long as I favorite them, every time there's a status change, I get an email. So price drops.
On each house.
On each house. Yeah. If the price drops, if it's sold.
So you get what she just said, Peter.
Mm-hmm.
What did she just say?
Well, I'm on Zillow, too, and they send me notifications.
No, that's not what she said.
I
said, what did she say?
Well, she's...
Just repeat that first, and then we'll go on to the conversation.
She said that she can, put her criteria in, make a house favorite, so she has a listing of houses. When anything happens on that house,
Good.
They will tell you something happened, a deposit, a thing, I can sell it.
So now we don't need the realtor to do that for us because it happens right on Zillow. So she'll send me an email or a text, say something just came back on the market, and then an hour or two later, the realtor will send it to me.
That's why he thought you were smarter than the realtor.
Yeah.
You're faster than a realtor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But just doing what she just said, do you get that? So it's like you could. So let's
We're
swear.
gonna come. Mary and I are gonna
swear.
come visit.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, there's more that you know. Oh, it's simple. Just no. Practice. I'm sorry, and we'll make dinner or come help you fix the house. I'm good at lawns.
Okay.
So I need to cuss and swear for a second. So if you have a job, okay, this is
Hold
the way
your
you
ears.
do it. That's my cussing is the word job. It was a joke.
It is a cuss
I
word.
just think because I held my ears closed. Right, go ahead.
You didn't even hear it. You had your ears
No, I
closed.
was scared.
So if you have a job,
Ooh.
right, and you tell me you don't have enough time to do real estate, then just get the F out of my life because this is how you do it.
Yeah.
I mean, just get the hell out of my life.
Yeah.
It's like you're just being an asshole.
Okay.
Sorry. You're just because this is how you do it. I mean, Jessie's got a job.
Yeah.
And she's running around. She's got 3 other 1,000 things to do.
Yeah. But she's
Right.
found some smart shortcuts.
Millennial style.
Yeah. But can I throw my 2 cents in just for 1 sec on that one point? What I do personally with my
Put the
personal
mic next to your mouth.
what I do personally with my personal time, if I have Saturday off, the first half of Saturday, I work for me. You work for a boss all week long, and you make your money, and then I don't want to work anymore. Wait a minute. Work for yourself half the day, and do what you need to do to make money, find houses, do things, and then have fun the rest of the day.
Right.
Or half and half. Don't goof off all weekend because you'll be bitching and moaning when it's Monday morning. Well, do something about it. Take half the time, stop goofing off, get some stuff done, and you'll be happier.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
And have more. Work hard, play hard.
Yep.
that's good. So, to my philosophy, when we like last night, we did the meetup, and one of the things I say, and I say this all the time, is if you want time blocking is important. We're not going to do that now because we're at the end of the show. You need to make an appointment with yourself. So minimally, if you make it an hour a day, so a half an hour in the morning and half an hour at night, and what I tell you to do is a half an hour in the morning is do your marketing, and a half an hour at night talk to clients. Okay. I prefer that. That's the kind of the mamsy-pansy way to do it. I prefer it's an hour in the morning, an hour at night. When you're first starting, this is a perfect way to do it. So spend an hour, doing the research on Zillow and these sites that we're giving you, and then at night make an appointment with a realtor to go look at a house. This is a good way to start, right? And if you can't do it every single day, at least do it 2 or 3 times a week, like you're saying on Saturday morning. Make it like Jessie's going out Saturday morning to look at a couple houses.
And then one other website that I will drop that I use all of the time to help calculate mortgage payments. If you go to Google and you type in U.S. mortgage calculator, it's a really great resource because you can plug in your taxes, you can plug in your PMI, you can plug in...
PMI is pre-mortgage insurance.
Right. So if you get an FHA mortgage, right, and you don't... So a conventional mortgage, you need to put 20% down. So the PMI is basically built into your mortgage. It's a way for you to pay that other 20% that you didn't pay when you put money down. And then what happens is that PMI, once you pay off that 20%, that PMI comes off of your mortgage and you pay less. So that's, if you're getting an FHA mortgage, typically you're putting 3.5% down for a down payment instead of the 20%. So that's important to calculate. There's all of these little numbers that factor into your mortgage. So that calculator is really great. I will say when I use that calculator and I use the taxes and the PMI and it includes insurance and all that stuff, when I use that calculator, I was within, I would say, probably $50 of what my mortgage broker told me I would have.
Right.
So it's very accurate if you're looking for a mortgage, how much you're going to pay monthly, which is great, especially if you're going to rent or do whatever it is you're going to do. It's really great to use. So what I usually do is if I find a house on Zillow, you know, you can use, I mean, there's lots of things you can do on there. You can do recently sold to see, you know, what the comps are in the neighborhood. You can use the U.S. mortgage calculator to kind of get an idea of what your monthly payments are going to be. You can, I mean, I do all of it online.
So what do we use for a comp site other than Zillow?
Realestateabc.com is the other website that I use. If you scroll to the bottom, it will give you the Zestimate. The Zestimate is not always 100% accurate. It's kind of just...
But isn't that Zillow? The Zestimate?
Yes, the Zestimate is a Zillow-based number. But if you scroll down, it gives you the list of properties within, I think, like a 3-mile radius. And it tells you how many beds, how many baths, the date it sold, and what it sold for.
So now, like Zillow just gives you a Zestimate or a comp. It doesn't tell you where it comes from. Mm-hmm. Real Estate ABC will give you those listings. You can actually click on them and go look at the houses to see if they're considered comparables.
Oh, right. And when you're looking at those, it's important because you'll see a big range. But if you look at them, you know, some of them are after renovated values. So when they're all fixed up and at their best value, some of them aren't. So when you're looking for the comparables, it's important when you use that website to scroll all the way down. And if you see, you know, a house that's 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1,500 square feet, you know, 1 month this house sold for 150, and the next month the same house with the same standards sold for 250. You have to check and see. Obviously, there's got to be some big difference there. So just keep that in mind too. I try to when I do my comps.
A lot of information today.
Sorry.
Huh? No, don't be sorry. This is what
we're coming over. We're bringing supper.
You're bringing supper
to her house. Mary and I are going over. We're going to stay at her computer.
Mary, huh? I got skipped out already. You got a new mentor.
You don't have time for the details like this, big deal guy. So
it's way too much work for me. I'm telling you that right now.
That's right. That's why. That's why, you know. At the lower level, we work together.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
I mean, it is work. But, I mean, once you do it a couple times, I mean, I could get numbers and do all of that 10 minutes.
Yeah.
If you use all the websites.
Well, the interesting point that I want to make, I'm cutting you off there. The interesting point that I want to make is that I get people that will send me MLS listings that are like a week old, a month old, or whatever. Or they'll chase houses. They'll go out and look at vacant houses in nice neighborhoods. I would much rather they do this than go looking at the other vacant houses.
Yep.
You know, this is a better activity because, especially if you've been approved by a FHA mortgage person, which they are everywhere.
Yes, they are.
Now, that's the last point I want to make about that, and then we'll end off. So the 203K section, you don't want to get, like, your original mortgage broker got you an FHA mortgage.
Yes.
For him to do the 203K, he was going to outsource that.
Yes.
You don't want that.
No.
Because then there's too many gaps. We'll just leave it at that. There's too many gaps. There's too many people in the meeting, and it becomes a committee.
Right.
And nobody makes a decision.
Right.
Okay? What you want to do is you want to find somebody that does just 203Ks, that specializes in it.
Yep.
And have them get the mortgage for you. You don't want to have like a regular mortgage guy. So if you say to somebody, do you do 203? Yeah, I do those. Oh, good. Do you outsource that, or do you guys do it internally? Mm-hmm. And then, of course, just use a bill question. How many 203K loans have you done in the last 12 months?
Yep.
and find if they say 2 or if they say 5 or if they say 30, then you know what you're dealing with, right? So
Yep.
it's important that you get a specialist, because the things that, I mean, you had a bad broker in the beginning.
Yes, I had. Well, I had 3 brokers total.
Right.
I had one who I was working with just for an FHA mortgage, family friend, the nicest guy. Would highly recommend him too for a standard mortgage. Second mortgage broker, she just did not.
Well, the owner knew what to do.
The
but
owner knew what to do, and she funneled me down to a newbie, I think, and she botched a lot of things.
So for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
now we have a time string. We have a time thing with buying the house.
Yep.
Wasted 2 weeks with this person,
Yeah.
right? They botched it up, and you called me and said to me at 8:30 at night, you had a phone conversation with the guy that we recommended,
Yep.
right? That I recommended, and you said I spoke to him for 10 minutes, and he gave me more information than they gave me in 2 weeks.
Yep.
And the loan, they actually had a shorter time period to do it because
Yes.
the other girl wasted 2 weeks,
Yep.
and he pulled it off.
He pulled it off.
He was able to do it.
He was amazing.
Yep.
And we were talking regularly every day for days
By email.
by email.
Yeah.
Just to get paperwork together. He knew exactly what I needed.
And you were at work.
I was at work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was emailing him at work. I shouldn't tell my boss that, but I was emailing at work and taking phone calls. Now, mind you, I'm working with him, and then we're working with the contractor, and then we're working with the plumbing guy. We're working, the HVAC guy. We're
HVAC
working,
is heating, ventilation, and AC. That's
Right.
HVAC. Heating, ventilation, and air conditioning.
Yep. We're working with the kitchen people who do our kitchen. So there's lots of moving parts. And if you're on top of it and you have all of these things in place before you put the offer in, you will be much better off. So that's really important.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do this process, my biggest piece of advice is have all of these moving parts ready before you put your offer in, because
I wouldn't do that, but I understand why you would say that.
Why wouldn't you do that?
Because what happens if you go do all that due diligence and then they say no to your offer?
That's true. But I don't necessarily mean give them all your documents and do all of that, but have everybody on standby.
Yeah.
Know who you're going to work with. If you
Okay.
have a contractor, know who you're going to work with. If you have a mortgage guy, know who you're going to work with.
Yeah.
You know, they're
Put a
going to
team
need to
together.
pre-qualify you anyways.
Yep.
So, get pre-qualified with a good 203K specialist.
So my summary, and then we're going to end off at this. So my summary is this. If you want to do this, then use the websites you're talking about.
Yep.
So we gave plenty of websites today.
Yep.
Okay, so to get on those websites, start poking around.
Yep.
Okay. Second thing to do is to find a 203K specialist.
Yes.
Get in touch with them, get your documents in, find out what you need to do to get a pre-qualifying letter. The third thing you should do is find a realtor that can show you the properties once you're ready, because they all have lock boxes, and
Yep.
that's the only way you're going to get in it. Okay. Once you do those 3 things, then start looking at houses.
Yep.
Then once you start looking at houses, as you're looking at houses, start gathering some, because as you look at houses, you're going to realize you're going to need different types of contractors.
Yes.
I try not to use more than 3 contractors. I personally believe that you need either a heating guy or a plumbing guy. You need a general contractor, and then if you need electrical work, then an electrician. That's all I use for contractors. Usually my general contractor handles a majority of it. In this particular case, we did something different. We actually had a kitchen guy. We had a boiler guy because it was a furnace. It was a
Yeah.
it was a boiler,
Yeah.
not a furnace. It was a boiler.
Yeah.
So we had a kitchen guy, we had a boiler guy, and we had the contractor. So we had 3 estimates we had to deal with, and that was it. We didn't get into a whole complicated thing. We just divvied it up, and we went bam, bam, bam. In 3 or 4 days, we had everything put together.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I would do. And then from there, just go from there. So the first thing I would do is go to all the websites you're talking about, just kind of poke around. Second thing I would do is I would get a 203K specialist. Third thing I would do is I would get a realtor. And then as you start looking at houses, start. And by the way, when you're looking at houses, start. If you don't have somebody, I'm going to tell you right now, a great place to find contractors and all these type of people is networking. Go to meetup.com.
Yep.
Go to BNI, which is Business Networking Institute. They have BNI groups everywhere. Just go visit a couple BNI groups, and they'll have 20 or 30 of those people in there.
Yeah.
I go to a BNI on Tuesday morning. There's 30 members. Out of there, I go to 2 of them, and I've gotten plenty. I've gotten my lawyer from there. I've gotten my realtor from there. you start to meet these people, you start to know who they are, and you start doing business with them.
Yep.
Home Advantage is another place for contractors. Home Advantage, right? Go there and you can find contractors.
Yeah.
Go to Home Depot to the pro desk.
Right.
Just go to Home Depot to the pro desk and say, I'm looking to flip a house. I need to get some contractors. Who would you recommend? Give me 3 names. At the pro desk at Home Depot. You know
That's
what I mean?
a great idea.
So you could. There's plenty of. Lowe's has a pro desk too, but Home Depot deals with contractors. My girl at Home Depot knows me.
Yes, she
She's
does.
actually referred business to me.
Yeah.
It didn't work, but she's actually like, well, Bill flips houses. You should talk to him. And the guy actually talked to me about his house.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for those resources, just go to Home Depot on the pro desk. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And you can actually do this. So that's why I called today's show Jet Fuel for Real Estate Cash, because it really is jet fuel for somebody that doesn't want to do like we do and have a full-blown business and make this a living. They could start this way and turn it into that.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. So thank you, Jessie, for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was great.
Thank you, Peter. So your job is to see if she can change her schedule and spend some more time with us on the podcast.
Yeah, it was a fun show.
Yeah.
Good. So if you when you the exit video will have or the exit what would we call that?
The exit bed.
Yeah.
The exit music bed.
Yeah. So
The outro.
Yeah, the outro. There you go.
Yeah.
So has all this information on there. But if you need us, you can email us at info@flippinghouses.club. You can go to our website, flippinghouses.club. There's a bunch of stuff on there. We have a bunch of videos and free stuff that you can sign up for. That's at flippinghouses.club. And you can hit the contact button. I answer all the support tickets. Nobody else does. I answer them myself. So if you have a deal or something going on, then you can get your stuff there. There's a bunch of free, prospect, suspect forums and free videos and all that kind of stuff. And then our latest invention is we are actually coaching people on Facebook.
Yeah.
So it's a group. It's $67 a month to be part of that group, and we help you do that. We need to count how many videos are on there, Emma. We need to do that today so I know how to say that. But we have eight modules in there, and they actually show you how to get leads and how to get deals. There's a ton of stuff. There's one portion of it was a course we've been selling for over a year for $297. And what I'm doing is to kick it off. There's a $1 trial, so it's $67 a month. Your first month cost $1. So if you don't have $1 to go check this out and see if we're your solution, then we can part as friends, and I'm okay with that.
And then another cool thing about the Facebook page is the 3 of us are all on that page.
That's right.
So
Plus
you have plus some other really great resources. So you really have a direct line to us.
Right.
And if you want to talk shop or whatnot, we'd be glad to do that.
And as we build the group, obviously it's new, but as we build the group, the other members will help you too.
Yes, absolutely.
And probably the most valuable part, which you don't even realize, is right now I'm telling you to email me if you have a question. It's only you and I talking, right? What happens if there's a question that Pete has that you didn't think of?
Sure.
And he emails it to me, you don't know what that question is.
Right.
But if you put it on Facebook, you can take a look and say,
There's
I
a
didn't
whole
think
bunch
of that
us.
question.
Yeah.
And then he'll get 3 or 4 answers, and you'll just get a whole education just on the questions.
Yeah.
Just going through the streams and the questions.
Absolutely.
And then we live stream. Like right now, we're a few minutes late because we started late today, but we're gonna end this podcast off, and we're gonna have a post show. We actually go into that group, and for a half an hour, and if I have to go longer, I will. But for a half an hour, we answer questions.
Sure.
So we leave this show and go right into the private group, and Emma's behind the screen, and you type in a question, and we answer it.
Yeah.
So it's like you're getting a half hour of coaching for a week for $67. So I don't know why anybody wouldn't do it, but that's because I'm very biased. So you find that at flippinghouses.club/coaching101. So it's flippinghouses.club/coaching101. Okay? And then the last thing I want to say is if you go to flippinghouses.club/podcast, go there and give us a review.
Yeah,
We're looking for reviews, good or bad. If you go to that page, top right-hand side, there's an iTunes link there. Go to iTunes and give us a review, good or bad. It doesn't matter. Just tell us what you think so that we can get your feedback, and that helps us a lot. We love feedback.
Yeah.
Okay? Thanks so much for being with us, Jessie.
Yeah, thanks.
Peter, we're off and running. Got to go do some work, and we got to do the post show first, and then we'll catch up with you guys next week. All right, over and out.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.